Hey, how's it going, guys? So here we are back again at the Python Backend Stacks playground. So we're up to Vibe Code app 10. Um, yeah, let's see if AI can make a building automation system. So what we're doing is kind of some applied software engineering. We're kind of guiding AI to make a building automation system from scratch. We've been talking about how all building automation systems these days are just a web app. Um, so AI is really good at making web applications, which is pretty much the heart of software engineering. If you take any software engineering courses, you'd be making a web app. There are desktop applications, and software engineers can also do embedded systems. They could be an embedded system software engineer or desktop applications, but primarily it's like web applications, like a full stack. Software engineer would be someone that can do soup to nuts on a web application, the back end, database, front end, HTML, JavaScript, all the security involved with that. So that's kind of like what we're doing here is like we're kind of playing the role of full stack engineer, and then harnessing the latest and greatest what AI has to offer just to see if we can make a building automation system. So I think like anyone that is like a domain level expert, which most of the people probably watching this, they could be a field or a technician, which I was for 10 years. So that was my domain of setting up and servicing building automation systems, building them, kind of like how a car mechanic would be deep in elbow grease. I was deep in cabling, wire nuts, relays, bending conduit, programming with a laptop, in the mechanical room that's all filled with dust next to the boilers, and yeah, you name it, above the ceiling tiles with a headlamp on your head. So that was my background for about 10 years, and a little bit of software engineering knowledge, and then you can couple that with like what AI has to offer in the prompting. Um, we could do something kind of fun here. So this is kind of like a hobby project, portfolio project, but I think this is really fun. I would love to do this someday. Like if I could be a software engineer, getting paid to do this kind of work, if the need existed, I think it'd be really fun. So let's kind of so we're building a portfolio project, in other words, but maybe it could be like in the building someday and for free. Um, and that's the point we're trying to drive home, is some of these proprietary building automation frameworks are they're expensive, $5,000-$10,000 to set up a little office building with a some framework that has been around for a long time. And what we've talked about before, it's like usually what you get with that $5,000 to $10,000 is support. So the contractor benefits from that. Like I was mentioned this before, like a startup for a small independent OEM, Niagara is what we were trying to sell, and we needed that support, so we paid for it. But there are probably people that may not need that support because they have like a big staff in house, already. So they're advanced contractor years of experience, and perhaps now they're trying to just fine tune where they can be more profitable. So maybe something like this could be something they could kind of play around with. Also, the requirement would be is like you'd have to have someone on staff with like some pretty good IT skills, good at Linux networking. Um, they can kind of set up very intimate with setting up a Raspberry Pi. There's no fear in that. So yeah, that's where we're kind of going. Anyway, so like where we had kind of a concept idea in the Flask framework, now we're kind of onto the Django framework in Python. So that's like our back end full stack application, is a Python backend Django framework right now, which we've talked about, has a lot of batteries included. So I'll kind of talk about that in a second. So now we have kind of like a really primitive idea. Now we're kind of like a medium level idea, which I kind of think I can wrap up today. And then I'll kind of start prompting for this. So we just have some basic authentication, alarm, scheduled, trends, be able to do a BACnet discovery through a GUI. And then next we'll kind of move into a more advanced kind of almost production ready Django application, where I think I'm going to go to town on ChatGPT agent mode just to save some of my API credits with Cursor, because I've been burning through it. And we'll kind of prompt it to, I'll try and do this right at the end of this video, prompt it to do a production level database for time series data, unit tests. We're going to convert the vanilla JavaScript front end. So that was our plain JavaScript to professional software engineers. They would use, there's quite a few different libraries for advanced visualization libraries. One of them is very popular, is in React, which we'll use. I kind of have an idea, instead of SMTP, how to dial out alerts and failures. And then also Django has user role, like a built-in user role service for different roles of the web app. So there'll be a super user, which all building automation systems have, including web apps. And then there's this normal users. So like in terms of building automation, the super user would be the contractor setting it up. And then there's always maintenance staff that use the building automation system. And perhaps read-only users, more of an advanced user, would have write access to modify the building automation set points, and etc. So Django has a lot of cool things that we can kind of just harness right under the hood. Like I said, it's been a framework that's been around since 2010, so it's very mature. Some people even ask, why are people still using the Django framework? And it's because it has all these batteries included. So it has a lot of cool things built into it that we can fully utilize for a building automation purpose. And then lastly, like, we can get into making it production ready, of like hardening it. So this is where we would get into making sure the app has audit logs, DevOps workflows, which I've kind of have some of that already. So more security stuff. Okay, so this is like the little schematic we have here. So when I mean like security features, like right now I can dial directly into this Docker container. For this, for example, this is the diy-bacnet-server, the Swagger. So this is like fast. This is this Docker container, which we should demonstrate in a second. This one right here is the DIY Docker container. This is just a back-end Python web application framework, which it has this kind of cool HTML feature built into it, this little dashboard here, which we'll play around with in a minute. That is, so when we do like the security phase, like we'll turn off being able to dial into it remotely, like I am now from the Windows computer. And then also we'll turn off being able to dial into the HTML of the Flask app through TCP port 55050, and then everything will be done through caddy, through the reverse proxy. And then there'll also be another Docker container running the database too. So, and basically nothing will have remote access besides only caddy is kind of the gatekeeper for that. So we'll get into that later. So I think this is kind of locked and loaded for Vibecode app 10, and then I think the only addition for Vibecode app 11 will just be adding in another Docker container for the database, production ready database. So at the moment, we're only using SQLite database just for testing purposes. That just kind of lives in here. Works good enough for testing purposes, but it's not really production ready. Let me think. So where can we go with this? Another thing that I have built already too. So let's say this is me. I'm the building automation technician. I'm on a Windows laptop into the building. We can pretend this is a real building on a LAN inside the building. So that's what we're kind of replicating here on my test bench. So I'm on Windows, which is, I think every building automation technician is running Windows. It seems like the industry is built for that. No Mac, no Linux users for setting up building automation systems. It's all Windows-based tools. And I built a little like a GUI tool. Let me just get to the right window. Okay, so let's just run this little GUI tool. So what this tool is supposed to mimic is it's supposed to mimic kind of like a setup tool. Okay, so like what it's running is actually a PowerShell script, and there's also a Mac version too for Bash. But this is it. This is kind of my latest and greatest creation to go along with VibeCode app 10. So this is actually kind of like a primitive tool. It's a desktop application that's built into Python. I'm gonna just take another sip of coffee here, sorry. So like every building automation system, to make it easy for building automation technicians, they usually have some kind of like a desktop tool built in for the framework, which just makes the workflow really easy, and the contractors like it because it makes it profitable and everything like that. So I was deploying to the Raspberry Pi just from a PowerShell script. I was running a PowerShell script that would zip up and secure copy protocol the files over to the host Raspberry Pi, and then it would bootstrap in Linux and kind of set all the Docker containers up. So this is still happening. I'm just using a Python based desktop application that's built into Python even, and it'll fire up this desktop tool. So like I can basically set the integrator username and password, and then set the building operator's username and password, and then the IP address of the Raspberry Pi, and then this is my SSH user. So I can do like a SSH button to check the SSH access, and then I can hit this run deploy button. So here we go. So like what's going on under the hood, it's zipping up the contents on my Windows computer, and then SCPing the files, secure copy protocol, SCP, over to the Pi, and we can see the logs right now from the tool. So like what's going on is it's just what I wanted to demonstrate is like the tools in industry are like very easy for building automation technicians to use in buildings. Most of them require tools like this. There's no command prompt. There's no Linux. There's no like some of these guys are refrigeration mechanics, and they're now they're in a position of doing more computer administrative level tasks with control systems. So they're kind of their expertise is HVAC and relay logic and all this stuff. So like these tools help building automation contractors set up and deploy faster. Okay, so right now the Raspberry Pi is rebootstrapping, and then I will be able to log into it with this username and password. A couple more advanced settings, which maybe perhaps there'd be some sort of documentation someday. also want to show you this too. I've been playing around with this push notification called NTFY. I was going to do more of traditional SMTP service, which is what, like the building automation frameworks I've ever used, you have to configure an email server, SMTP, which can be a huge pain in the butt to set up. But there's also some services, and this is actually free, which I want to demonstrate for maybe some small use case purposes, how you can send alerts to a cell phone. So like what would happen is like the building automation system needs to be configured for if a pump fails, if a chiller fails, if something critical fails in the building, the boiler quits in the middle of the night in the cold winter, send that push notification to the maintenance person to wake up and get out of bed. When I was a building automation technician, I serviced some data centers, small data centers for like insurance firms. None of the really big ones these days that are popular with all the AI news, but small data centers. And I would have to get woken up at 3 a.m. once in a while to come and see why the cooling systems quit. So there'd be it's important. These are tested. I have some ideas for this too. Best practices in alarm management should be built into like any kind of platform. A lot of platforms, the alarms turn into the little boy that cried wolf, and there's just poorly set up and managed, and there's so many alarms that the maintenance department doesn't even look at it anymore. So it's something that has to be continuously managed and tested over time. A really good maintenance department will test that their dial-out system runs, once a week. I've seen some places where the maintenance department, they know that they expect that their test email dial-out comes through at Tuesdays at noon every week, and it's like their weekly test that it still runs and operates. So they expect, like my weekly alarm test comes through on the dot when it's supposed to, and it gives them comfort that like when you need it, it's going to work. So it's something that continuously needs maintenance. Like building automation systems are pretty good at being left alone. They need to be designed to be long-term support, like LTS, like for operating systems where they can be set up and left alone for years at a time without being updated. So it's something that also should be built into tools like this is long-term support, and that the appliance can be backed up. Someday that there'll be I want to do some kind of like a JSON or some kind of like an export utility for like a backup of it, and then you can restore it on a new version or a different Raspberry Pi. So that's also important considerations that could probably go into another Vibe Code app checkpoints. It's how to do that would be kind of interesting. Okay, so if we get back to here, so it's done. Okay, so like we already sent all of the data to the Raspberry Pi. So this is just like our little deployment tool. Takes a little bit to bootstrap on the Raspberry Pi. So I am just going to use my integrator password for int and ASDF at the moment for testing purposes. Let's see, where are we? Not there, so I might have to actually, no, here we are. So I'm going to refresh because this is a new instance of it. So int ASDF, sign in. It's kind of like teeny bit laggy on this old Raspberry Pi. Okay, so like what we talked about yesterday, we can discover points. So this will be the system integrator apps. This side is just like what the maintenance staff will look at. The BACnet gateway is online. So that is that these two Docker containers can talk to each other. That is how you get this nice, lovely status. And then I've just been doing some tests. So I want to do a BACnet whois we're kind of in BACnet building automation setup role right here. So our whois found our two devices, which is the same as if we did our from our Windows machine. So we've been testing, we've been validating our Python BACnet stacks work with this is a third-party tool, pretty popular in the building automation world, that you can kind of validate things. It's made by Contemporary Controls. There's a couple other different BACnet scan tools. So like when I ran this and found my devices online here, I'm on my Windows computer and I'm dialed into the Raspberry Pi. So like when I hit that button on the HTML, the Raspberry Pi is doing the BACnet discovery, and then I can see all of it through the HTML here. And then when I'm using this tool right here, I'm on here. So like there's two different BACnet discoveries going on. And then I should so like on the Raspberry Pi, we only saw this device and this device come up. But like when we're here, I can actually see that this is the DIY building automation system, which will change the name of that in the future. So like this device right here from the Windows computer is the Raspberry Pi, and it has a couple points. So we'll kind of play around with this a little bit too. Okay, so like we have two devices, we can discover the points in those devices, and then we can see them here. You can delete the devices, and then that's all being saved to SQLite database under the hood. So just a little test I'm doing that I can add and delete devices, and then these are the points for each of the BACnet devices from that discovery. So there are two devices right here. This one of them was the fake VAV, the fake air handling unit. So like I made this select all for the points, just if we wanted to bring in all of the points. So popular practice in building automation contracting is you pull in the points from all the devices. So that's what I'm doing right here, is integrating these two devices through here into the SQLite database running on the Django web app. Pretty popular or common look and feel. So I just did so basically I selected all of the points, and so basically right now I set up polling. So I just have like a drop down menu for polling to basically start scraping data, and then we can keep on we'll be able to see that in trends and everything. So I have a 30-second poll, and then these are the point values right here, and then you can even turn polling off. And I also have like an override feature, so you can let's try a point here. So this is a pretend supplier temperature set point. Johnson controls the lingo, so override at priority 8, the building operator. Let's see if this works. I haven't really tested this very well. So it shows up in blue, which I asked it to. This might need like a little bit of work to get this running. Maybe we have to get that working still. So basically in a building automation system, you want to see overrides that the building automation or the facilities management staff does. So you'd be able to know that points and set points are overridden, and you'd want to show that points are offline or online. So what's happening under the hood, that looks like there's a bug right there, I didn't catch that. What's happening under the hood is that this container is talking to this container. So like if we do a write request, we would be going down here, and through JSON RPC, that work under the hood, it'll send a request in the form of JSON RPC from this container to this container. Another thing I wanted to show you too, so like another important part is scheduling. So if we wanted to add in, just call a schedule called awk. So let's say this is a building automation schedule. I'm just going to say, let's just give this some fake times so we can see this in the data. So I'm just going to say, just so it's really obvious, our equipment starts at 7 to 5 this day, 11 to 11, 11 11, 7 to 5, 11 11, then no schedules on Friday and Saturday. So our weekly equipment run schedules look like this. And then I'm going to save and push to BACnet. So like what happened under the hood is we saved on the Django web app and we pushed that to the diy-bacnet-server. So like what went on under the hood is basically there is a special route for this. So okay, so like we did, the Django app used this route to set up the like what we to set up all the BACnet. So look what I was saying before, when we were doing this in raw back pipes and BACnet stacks under the hood, like we could set the building automation schedule on a BACnet schedule object, and then we're programmatically doing that right now from soup to nuts almost on a full stack web application through HTML UI, where then this would be through backend. So that's front end, and then the back end web app development, we sent an RPC request to set that in the backpipes 3 diy-bacnet-server container, and then we can also test it. So let's see if we can do that too. So I should have another. So I did actually test this once this morning, so I'm actually going to read this again. So if you remember in VibeCode app 4, this is when we were doing raw BACnet stack, basically where we did the VibeCode app for the like the Open Weather Map API, and then also the we were experimenting with schedule objects. So if we want to validate this, we can also validate it. So here we go. So it took. So basically this script I'm running on Windows. This is just a raw Python script from the VibeCode app 4 that is going to read the Raspberry Pi on, sorry, the Raspberry Pi is .11 up here, our target points. So, and then this is my validation that the full stack web application soup to nuts is working. And then we can test this again too, just for proof of concept. I'm actually just going to close out of this. So, okay, so let's change this to, how about 999, 99, 99. And then we could maybe even set, how about Saturdays and Sundays to 99, 99, 99, 99. We're just giving it a really odd building automation equipment run schedules just for testing purposes that that it's working. So this is our front end software development, software engineering, and then it's writing to the back end to the DIY Docker container, where then we're here on the Windows machine and then running the Python script that is just going to read it as a validation that it's working. So let's hop over to the Windows machine one more time. Let's run our vibecode app 4 script. Okay, and it took it. So like I see 999999 comes through as 20 in military time as 2109 2109. So this was kind of I was happy to see this, that it did take. Also notice something funny is that it didn't take the Sunday. So just notice that right now. So there might be some bugs to fix actually, because when I set the building automation schedule, I also included Sunday on. Oh no, actually there's nothing on Sunday. Maybe there's a bug in. Oh no, Sunday nothing. Okay, so it was correct. It was just me. It would be nice almost to see this. My mind was thinking Monday through Friday and then Saturday and Sunday. Okay, so that was right. So cool. So we did kind of like a basic check that our front end software engineering works with our back end. We can learn in these devices right here. And I think that we kind of did our basic. So we have some real basic authentication that's handled by the Django framework, and it's pretty solid and secure. It's been around for many, many years, so we can kind of take advantage of security by using the Django framework. We didn't really test this very well. We can set up polling with schedules, back-end discovery, and then also I guess on here I did do alarms. Let's see, where did I do this? Points. So okay, so this is where I did do some alarming here. Let's select a couple points. These are just temperature sensors in mixer temp sensor, outsider temperature, return air, supplier temp, and Johnson controls. And then I did this high and low thresholds. It looks kind of garbagey. Current values, it's not very pretty. So let's say we would want to get a notification that if the values ever went below 60 and 80, perhaps this could be a zone temperature, that if it ever gets out of the bounds, that it would notify you. Okay, so here we go, save rules. So this is a basic alarm. And that looks like it's kind of buggy. Something must have happened. Anyways, okay, so we have a little bit of bugs on the alarms. That it looked like every point went into alarm, but I think we're going to do a radical update in this next vibecode app checkpoint. So this is basically if a point went into alarm, it would show up as red, that the maintenance user through like the user interface design, that like, hey, there's a problem here, go look at it. Some other control systems even have sounds and they beep at you. Beep, it's kind of annoying. And then in other kind of alarms we could do is status mismatch. So this is meant to be a motor status versus command. Like if that pump fails and the command and status don't match each other, dial out that pump failed. And yeah, that looks pretty ugly. So okay, so we kind of have that covered. I think I might actually close this out, and then hopefully we'll never have to log into it again because it's kind of ugly. But all right, so we did kind of. I do think we almost kind of have that working. Okay, so the next vibecode app checkpoint. Oh no, wait. Another thing I wanted to actually do is I noticed that on our schedule, play around with this nifty. So this is also, when I vibe coded this, I was playing around in PowerShell. So like here, let me play around with this again. I'll show you guys. So this is, I was playing around with this with ChatGPT. This is, which one's PowerShell Bash? This is something I just ran across. of like how to dial out for notifications. So this is PowerShell. You can do scripting in operating system higher level languages. It's mostly for automation, in PowerShell in Windows, and then Bash in Linux. So when I was playing around with this, right, in PowerShell, I just sent a notification, and then to my phone, I even downloaded the Nifty app. So this is kind of cool. So it beeped a little bit. It might be kind of hard to hear, but let me just demo this one more time. So like my phone right here, I don't even think you guys can see that. Doesn't look like it's coming through, but basically if I demo this one more time, I think you can hear it, but for some reason, so I get a notification to my phone, same notification that Air Handling 1 fan failed to start, some kind of a mimic that, a warning, hey, go look at this. So this is exactly what building automation systems need. And then it's using this, this service, push notification service, pronounced notify, NFTY. It's a simple HTTP based pub sub notification service. So yeah, this is cool. And you can kind of play with it via REST API. And REST API is the same thing, that these Docker containers are using to communicate. So, so basically, I could add in another schematic that notify service on the cloud can get pushed to the maintenance user wherever they are in the world, to their cell phone. So yeah, this is pretty cool. And it's 100% free. I think there's some things that you can do with a paid version of it. So yeah, super cool. So I'm gonna close out of that. And I did put this on the Raspberry Pi, but I noticed that it's in kind of a weird spot. So this is on the Raspberry Pi. Let's see if the Raspberry Pi can do it. I haven't tested this yet. Go back into Notify. Sending. Oop, it did. Okay, cool. So it worked. It worked, yay. So like we would have to configure this, like what you do in a building automation system is like this would be saved as a particular kind of message that, hey, this sensor went into alarm. So yeah, quite a few important checkboxes we did here. We kind of demonstrated some very high level. Yeah, I feel pretty good about this. We even did the Notify version. So we even built a desktop GUI to send the, to basically set up the Raspberry Pi, like kind of a similar mimicking and building automation setup GUI that a real proprietary framework would do. So, all right, so like let's kind of move on. I might just use ChatGPT. Let me see, I might just close some windows. Don't think I'll open that ever again, hopefully. I'll close that for now. And then, okay, so maybe I'll start a new chat. I might put ChatGPT in agent mode. I think I have a lot of credits in agent mode here. And I've just been doing a ton of work in Cursor. So I even upgraded my Cursor to the $60 a month Pro plan, which resets in 26 days. And I've still been burning through just a ton of tokens, vibe coding. So it's been a lot of fun. So I have a feeling with what I want to burn up my ChatGPT agent mode. I bet that would fill up another 5-10% in my Cursor usage. So I'm trying to limit this. Yeah. Okay. So I've been going hog wild on the vibe coding. Okay. So this is something else I'm going to ask it to do is like, this is, I asked ChatGPT, to write in React before. So ChatGPT made this, and then it just let me download this code in a zip file, and then I'm just running it in a Python development server. So this is really cool. This did exactly what I wanted it to do. So the next version of this, I want the front end to all be written in React, be super professional, and then to have draggable widgets to setting the building automation run. So this is pretty cool. This is exactly what Niagara is a little bit, though the columns in Niagara are up and down and not left and right. But so then you can also right click, and then you can copy, paste. Oops, looks like that didn't work. Copy, paste. Yeah, cool. So Niagara has that feature too. You can set Monday through Fridays, all like that. So yeah, this is neat. This is exactly what I was hoping to do. So so this is pretty cool. Like under the hood in front end development, this is actually like, see the data's moving as you. So this is how the back end receives the data from the front end. It's through JSON like this. So I can even clear the week. So yeah, this is really neat. And then if you guys wanted to see like what that looks like, let me just show this real quick. Hopefully this video isn't getting too long. So the last stretch of this is just going to be, I think, one big prompt to ChatGPT. If I go to desktop testing, so okay, so this is what ChatGPT made for me. Maybe I'll just open it with VS Code. So it also made HTML. So what's interesting is like it packaged the React into the same HTML file. So this is importing React through, basically it's grabbing it from the web. There's a specific term for this that's kind of slipping my mind, but we'll kind of use this as something to go off of for the next style, and then how we can write everything in React. It included all of the CSS into the browser, which I don't want it to do either. And then this is basically the body of the HTML with some more script, with some more JavaScript. I think this might be TypeScript. Actually, maybe it's just JavaScript, but we'll ask it to change it all into TypeScript. So yeah, it's React DOM. So this is the HTML file. So like, we'll ask ChatGPT in agent mode to kind of go off of this. Okay, so let's do this. So maybe I will just I might just zip this, compress to zip. So this is my BAS schedule widget. So I'm going to get my fresh section of ChatGPT. Go to that directory. Okay, so I just uploaded this, basically the code for that, and then I want to make a big zip here. Okay, so what do we got here? I have to just navigate into the Python BAS stacks playground. Apologize if it's kind of, font is kind of small. And then it's sorted it in like a really weird fashion. What the heck? Okay, so here we go. So like, I might just this already has a zip file in it from when it we use the GUI tool, which might have everything packaged in here. I'm just kind of checking. So this is all of the Django app code. Alright, maybe I'll just zip this whole thing. Okay, so this would be another big zip as well. Gosh, I wonder if this might be a bad one because there's all of like the compiled. Actually, I might actually cancel this. Yeah, think. Okay, so maybe I might actually just do this kind of a weird way of, I might just download a separate zip of this. Like what I'm trying to avoid is in in the version that I'm running on my computer has like all these PyCache files in a bunch of files that don't get pushed to GitHub. They're just kind of local compiled garbage that you never push up to GitHub to keep things kind of neat and clean. And then if I can just upload to ChatGPT just kind of the cleaned version that's on GitHub. So I might just, even though I have this on my computer, I just want this kind of cleaned version. Okay, so I'm just gonna go in here and then I'm gonna zip this. Compress to zip. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab this version in my downloads folder. Then go up to upload one more zip file. Vibecode app 10. Okay, and then once that's up there, I'm going to actually just delete these, just so nothing gets confused. Okay, so here we go. So like the next Vibecode app checkpoint, let's do it. Let me just kind of copy this. Okay, so like, and as you can see, I got this on agent mode here. So I haven't used agent mode in a while, but it's making sure we're on the thinking. So it's kind of the latest and greatest, best thing OpenAI has. And I think OpenAI has gotten a lot of good publicity these days with ChatGPT, GPT 5.5. A lot of people are liking it. So, okay, so like, I'm just gonna say it to see these zip files for the DIY BAS concept idea, which is a Django app. I need you to make this into a, maybe I'll zoom in one step further. I need you to make this into a production, to a near production Django application. Please convert all of the vanilla JS front end into a React front end, where then we want to serve production ready, production built React front end from Django. I'm going to say, please see this zip right here. Please see the BAS schedule widget zip folder for the new style of the React front end. more thing. Okay, so the new front end, I'm just going to say please retrofit the entire vanilla into React in a professional front end manner. So, okay, so I want to give it this. So when I talked about so this is the diy-bacnet-server container. So what's really cool about the fast API under the hood of this, and not only like you can play around or you can test it through here, like you could make read writes, you can do all this stuff in the field. This is also like a really cool app. If you want to just collect data from a site, you could make a little Python script that just reads data and collects it to CSV file or whatever. Maybe I'll do that in the future. But another really cool thing about this is not only this feature, but you can also do this JSON. So this is actually a JSON representation of the entire API. So I'm actually going to hold up. I'm just going to open up VS Code again. Jumping around here, guys. Sorry a lot. So I actually want to save this as a file. So this will be right in the same testing directory. So new file. So I'm just going to say diy-bacnet-server swagger.json. Wait, hold up. I can do it right here. diy-bacnet-server swagger.json. Paste. So basically, I pasted all of this into here, which is actually a pretty decent sized JSON file. Okay, so like, then I can also upload this to ChatGPT, which I think was in here. Okay, so where were we? To React. So I have to tell it a little bit about the architecture, which is our schematic. So this project is Docker based. Where we use caddy for burst proxy purposes, and there is also another container strictly for BACnet requirements, which is the diy-bacnet-server. I think I uploaded that. So double check. Okay, I've already uploaded that. Please see the Swagger JSON file, as it is a fast API application that runs Backpipes 3, and we interact with it via JSON RPC. The prior app has been tested well, including including the front end schedule widget, where it writes to the diy-bacnet-server via RPC to update the schedule points. It is used for all BACnet requirements and is stable. Okay, so I think it did that enough. And just say try to replicate the existing vanilla front end to React, but more professional layout. Ensure the NFTY notification is on its own tab. Please create and use a production DB in Django that would fit the application well for time series data and user and admin purposes as needed. Okay, so we did the React front end, talked about that. Okay, so I'm just going to delete this React shell. So the last thing I think we need, I'm just going to say, lastly, create robust unit tests for both the front end and back end. I iterate until all tests pass. Then let me download a zip file. Then let me download a zip file folder for the working application. Ensure the app starts with no errors in your test environment. So I think ChatGPT can run applications in its own sandbox. In your sandboxed test environment. Lastly, create robust unit tests. So we'll talk about that later. All right, I think this is good. So, okay, so I also need to include, it includes a Python based, it's called KTinker, desktop GUI application to deploy from Windows to Linux based OS for easy deployments and easy Linux bootstrapping. Please retain that. Please retain this feature and test in the end as needed. Okay, I think we have everything here. Alright, I'm just going to hit the button, guys. Sorry if this video is really long here. So we gave ChatGPT a ton of work to do here. I will probably be pushing it throughout the day here to just keep going, and then we'll kind of plop this into the Vibecode app 11 directory where I will probably play with it 2 just to make sure. Yeah, so here goes. So you can kind of see it's kind of fun. ChatGPT agent mode is kind of cool. And it comes with your $20 subscription. You get a few monthly credits for agent mode to use once a month. So this is kind of cool features. Like instead of using cursor, you can also play with this through the browser and have it make cool stuff. So yeah, look, it's going nuts. So I wouldn't be surprised if it goes around and around like this for like another hour, or less. So okay, so this is I'll put all that code into here. I'll probably see you guys next week regarding this, but maybe just like a little touch ups of where we were. So if anyone wants to view the vibe code app 10, I have the schematic pushed in there, and then I think there'll be another Docker container for the front end, but the way that we're doing this, that might still serve the React front end through the Django framework. So we need to do, I wanted to ask it to build better user permissions. So yeah, Django for BAS technicians. There are a few things to read in here that's kind of cool for wrapping this up. So basically every need that we have in building automation world is basically a Django, Django projects are organized into apps. So like every little feature I think we need to make a BAS, that'll be a Django app. So yeah, we'll have to get into this a little bit more. Okay, so batteries included with Django, auth and sessions, password validations, email backend, which we're using Notify at the moment, password reset by email, which I don't know what we'll do about that. Admin, this is security for serving HTML files across the internet, which is nice to have even for us in building automation systems. Yeah, lots of cool things that Django handles under the hood for us. Yeah, okay, so I think I'm going to end it here, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week just to see what this looks like. Talk to you later.